The Master League is back now, as well as, of course, the Ultra League version of the Holiday Cup, but a lot of people were kinda curious on how good the newly buffed Kyurem going to be here, and honestly, this team worked out really well. I went 8-2 in my first two sets with this team already, which is really nice. Like, it's actually gives you around like 80-90 rating, which is really cool, and I had a lot of fun, and it's also a pretty achievable team. There is only one legendary Pokemon with the Kyurem in here, the rest are just normal Pokemon that you can catch in the wild, which is fine. And look at this catch, by the way, as well. While we're talking about catching, we catch a Shadow Ball from the MEweedle of my opponent, perfectly catching the move there. We have the swap here of Snorlax trying to get out everything that's kind of like Steel type-ish or Fighting type-ish, because you really don't want to face them with your Kyurem. As well as Snorlax is just a very good neutral sponge for like Charm users, or like in general Fairy types like the Xerneas or the Zacian, as you have basically the best answer for those in the lead already with your Metagross, so they're going to swap out into you. A little bit tricky going to be Landorus here actually, because Landorus is going to have super effective moves against nearly everything, basically actually against everything if you count the fast move as like an actual move here. But my opponent decides to forfeit here already, and we will be able to win this game. Next one, we're going to see a Zacian. Zacian here will not have a really decent time against my Metagross. Metagross will be able to basically hardwall this Pokemon. Still gonna get some damage from close combat or wild charge. Basically the same move, doesn't really matter which it throws at me. Most people run the close combat here instead of wild charge, but we will see here that they're going to get one off at least against me. We're gonna get them low, and we're going to see a Ho-Oh coming in. I actually make a mistake here. I think I should have went into my Kyurem instead, because Kyurem would be able to debuff the opponent before they can go for one charge move. And this would have been definitely nice here to have, especially because I do more damage with my fast moves as well. So I think definitely not the right play here to go into my Snorlax instead, but still we can manage the situation, hopefully going for some body slams, but this might cost us a game. We have to see what they have in the back here. So far, so neutral at least. We're going to be able to go into our Kyurem now. Taking this move, going to be a Sacred Fire plus, which doesn't have any difference, like the kind of input there, but we will see now a Kyurem from the opponent, which allows me to go for another charge move here, which is nice. I will take this shield definitely, because I have to knock them out with my Metagross. Do they going to swap out here? They cannot swap out. They actually swapped out before, which is interesting, because now I can go ahead and go for a Media Mesh. They're going to go into their Zacian, which allows me to now farm them down with my Kyurem. I don't know why they didn't go into their Ho-Oh, but like this, I will be able to win this game. I think they would have won if they went to their Ho-Oh, because I don't think I would have been able to farm them down in time with my Metagross, and they would have had what's called a Brave Bird then stored, but still, I will take this first win here, as we're going to see the next Ho-Oh coming in. Horrible lead for us, so this is not a good scenario in general against Ho-Oh. Like, Ho-Oh lead is basically the worst that you can face. We're going to see a Zacian coming in, and it's kind of getting worse here as well, because while Zacian is not the craziest, bulkiest Pokemon, it's still pretty bulky, and it still can farm me all the way down here. So we basically have a Ho-Oh where we cannot realign our Pokemon against, which is pretty decent against our team in general. And a Zacian with a 100 energy against us here, we will be able to take this close combat, but unless they have something super weak against my Kyurem in the back, there is literally no chance of me winning this game. I will see the Ho-Oh coming back in, and they're going to stay in here, which is actually okay for me. I will be able to shield up the next move from the opponent, which is going to be the Sacred Fire. They don't get the debuff, but they're going to have a Dialga in the back, and this was basically a perfect alignment for my opponent. They had literally every hard counter against me. A Ho-Oh against my lead, Zacian against my normal type, which would suffer from like the Fighting type moves from it, for example, and now a Dialga against Kyurem. So this is not ideal. We're also gonna go here and forfeit here, of course. There's nothing I can do, but yeah. My rating, by the way, is a little bit lower than I was before. I don't think I actually made it into a video or whatever, but I played like some teams that I played prior as well already for the last cup, the Holiday Cup Great League Edition. I was at 2,730 rating, but I decided to quit some battles my last two sets because the queue time was kind of rough, and it's still kind of rough. I'm most likely not going to be able to finish all my sets today, because I have, at this point of time while commentating, 1 hour left. When you see this video, it's most likely already like the next day for me, so it's a little bit tough to currently find battles, especially as they take along in the Ultra League and the Master League. So yeah, but still, I actually enjoyed using the Master League Pokemon here again, and also I can definitely recommend you to build a Kyurem for the Master League. This Pokemon is meta, no doubt about this. Like, this was so much fun to play this Pokemon. There's so many scenarios where you can farm down something, can lock in something else and just debuff it, and I feel like some more status changing moves like debuffs or like buffs would be something that's in general kind of more dynamic for Pokemon Go, and I would appreciate more moves like this. I know a lot of people don't like those chance moves, but here for example it's a 100% chance to debuff the opponent's attack, which is cool. So I really enjoyed it. I can highly recommend you to build one. Try to get the XL candy if you still can. It's definitely something that's worth it building, unlike the mostly coming Zekrom and Zacian with a new update, but this one definitely will be something very, very cool to use. We see a Dialga here, we see a Giratina coming in, and usually this is of course a perfect matchup for me, but actually I could have also went to my Kyurem here, but actually my opponent also runs the Dragon Pulse. This is horrible for me because I have no charge move to hit them, so what we're going to do here is we're going to have to throw one Body Slam soon, which basically does as much damage as one lick, it feels like, but we're also going to have to shield up against the opponent now, because otherwise we will not be able to farm them all the way down. We have to go for another Body Slam as well, because we waste our energy otherwise, and this just does a little bit more damage, and we're still going to end up out of this matchup with 2 superpowers stored, which is going to be nice. I will be able to shield up this move, and yeah, 2 superpowers stored here. Let's see what they're going to go into. They're going to go into the Dialga again, which will allow me to get them super, super low here if they're going to no shield, and they are going to no shield here, which is amazing for me. 2 superpowers, gonna put them into the red health, going to put them into range where I can farm them down most likely with Kyurem, as we see a Kyogre coming in, where we can retaliate with Glaciate, and Glaciate will not get the shield here. They're going to call it, but it doesn't matter because they're gonna get debuffed, and it doesn't matter at all for me because I can go into my Metagross now, and as long as I'm going to keep my shields here, I will win this matchup. Debuffed Surf doesn't do too much damage. I can go for some medium meshes just in case I get to enough moves basically, and I will be able to farm them basically all the way down here. If not, I still have my Kyurem in the back, which can farm them down later on. We will see that they start with 1 HP. This 1 HP is enough for Kyurem's 1 Dragon Breath, and we can farm down the opponent's Dialga. Good game there. Again, this team worked out really, really well. We see a Dragonite in the lead. This is a little bit of an awkward scenario to deal with, and I'm kind of making some mistakes here. Against MEweedle, honestly, if you have the scenario that you have here, which I actually had twice, I would not recommend you what I'm doing here, going for the bait, because yes, while it is possible that the opponent shields, if they don't shield, you lose a ton. And I don't think it's really worth it to lose that much, because I don't know, like here I'm going to shield, for example, I'm going to lose a shield, they're just going to go straight rock side, but I didn't want to fear that my Metagross gets too low. If I just go for the Earthquake, which is just 2 fast moves more, I either get the shield or a near KO on the MEweedle. So for me, just going for Earthquake just gives me guaranteed an advantage towards the opponent, while here making this play I think actually cost me the game, which is really annoying because I really had the game. I would have had also pretty decent alignment, but like this, it's not possible. If you don't have, by the way, a Metagross in the lead, I would actually recommend you to try out the Excadrill as well. Excadrill should work out pretty similar towards, like, unless like you face something like the Fairy type Pokemon, like they are definitely Metagross, it's a little bit better, but otherwise it's kind of similar. But I didn't want to power mine up yet, because we're still going to have a no XL Master League in the next week, and I cannot power up Pokemon that are not legendary. What I can do though is catch this Rock Slide from the opponent's Excadrill. Does allow us to go for another charge move. I go for a bait again, which has literally no, yeah, they're going to shit anyway, so it doesn't matter, but it doesn't really help me at all. Then I baited here, I should have went for straight the Earthquake. I just bait too much a lot of times. I will be able to go for one Glaciate if I wanted to, but I know already that this game is over. They had a shield advantage still, so there was nothing I could have done, so it's going to be a good game. Next opponent, I think this might be a Shundo Dialga, which is kind of wild. Some people have just really wild stuff. I mean, I have a Shundo Mewtwo, so I guess I cannot really complain too much. But we will see that we got a shield here in the beginning with a bait, which is nice. I can shield this move up, and I should shield this move up. If this is a Draco Meteor, you're going to go down, but if it's not a Draco Meteor, you're always going to be able to either get a shield or realign, and both of them is fine. Here, sadly, I throw my my move one turn too late, which allows the opponent to go for another Iron Head. I will see the Kyurem coming in, and in hindsight, I shouldn't have done this. I should have not swapped out here. I should have stayed into my lead match up there, and I could have been just able to go for my Kyurem then. And if my opponent swaps out, I can still go for one Glaciate, would be able to debuff the opponent's attack. But like this, I have my Snorlax aligned against the opponent's Kyogre. It's not the worst matchup, don't get me wrong, like I'm not crying about having this matchup here right now. But it would have been way cooler for me if I didn't have this matchup, as my opponent has a Kyurem as well, but they have a Hundo. I have a 96% version, as you can see here. Was the best that I got in like more than 100 raids, which is kind of sad. Not even a 98, and I think that was my only 96 Pokemon which I got. So I got horrible IVs throughout the entire time I rated this Pokemon, which is kind of sad, but yeah. I wish I had better IVs, it doesn't really matter though, because those IVs definitely are enough to knock them out. There is still some break points and bulk points that you get if you would have the one more defense, especially when you have a best buddied version of Kyurem. Having 15 attack and 15 defense is very important. HP stat is usually the stat that you can basically forget a lot of times. Here, what we don't forget is to catch the move of the opponent. Thanks Giratina for this nice Shadow Ball against my Snorlax. Now we have a ton of energy already on our Metagross, we have a ton of energy on our Snorlax. We caught a move that basically did 0 damage, and we will be able to now still go for Body Slam against the opponent's Glaciate. This will be very cool for me, because I cannot force them to throw either the Player Off or the Close Combat soon. We're going to get them very low, they're going to go for a Charge move, I still survive everything, and I still have a move stored now. This will allow me to go for another charge move here. Body Slam coming through, Body Slam going to be able to get a shield from the opponent already. And that's not all, I can still go for another Body Slam, and this can get me another shield from the opponent if they really want to, and they do want to, and they still have to throw here, which allows me to let this move go through. It's going to be the Wild Charge. They can go for another Wild Charge here, I don't really care, I'm going to shield this move up just in case I need some health on my Metagross left, and I can still go straight into my Kyurem. Now we get hardwalled by another fairy with the Xerneas, so like they had a double fairy team, which is definitely a strong line that you can pick. But because we're actually in a pretty okay spot here, we're going to be able to just debuff them. And while our Drawing Breath is double resisted and their moves would be super effective, I'm actually in a position where I can still survive a close combat and I'll still be able to knock them out. So we just saw a Kyurem taking out a fairy type without any type advantages. Of course, if they thrown earlier their close combat, they would have been able to realign, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway, as I would have been able to farm them down with my Metagross. But like this was a very good game. We're able to win this game, and we can go into the next one. Next one, we're going to face a Landorus against us in the lead here. This is not ideal, but we will see that they go for one Stone Edge. Stone Edge is fine for me. I can go ahead and go for my charge move. This would knock them out, but they're going to, of course, shield this move up. I would, of course, appreciate if they go to a superpower, but please not now. But they do it, of course, when I think that they bait me. But very well played by my opponent. Still doesn't help them because their Landorus is getting lower and lower, but they're going to swap out now into their Dialga. I can still get some damage on them here, which is kind of important. With my own Metagross, I can go into my Snorlax. I can go straight for the superpower here, which is going to hopefully knock them out. Does it do enough damage? It does not, so I have to swap out into my Kyurem, farming them down, and now we have to basically endure the matchup against the Landorus here right now. They're going to go for the Stone Edge. I thought I can easily farm them down now. No way, not with this Kyurem, not with this Kyurem, not with this Landorus. They can still go for one charge move here. We see the Yveltal coming in. We can debuff them and do a lot of damage with a Glaciate. This forces them to throw a charge move against me. I think otherwise they could have maybe farmed me down. But like this, I will be able to easily still go for a charge move with my Snorlax and win this game here. And yeah, again, Glaciate coming in clutch there was able to basically makes it impossible to farm me down with their Yveltal, as well as getting a ton of damage against the opponent. Final game for today, we're going to face off against Mamoswine, and as I said before, we have the same matchup against the Melmetal again. This will allow us to go for another Earthquake here, and if this hits, which it does, we will have a way better matchup. I'm going to just sacrifice basically my Snorlax. Yes, superpower, super effective here, while it wasn't on the other Pokemon, but Snorlax is just a sponge that will allow me to realign my Pokemon, which is the main reason why it exists. So A very cool Pokemon here for me. I can go for a super power here, which I'm actually going to do as well, trying to debuff them or like try to knock them out actually, but sadly going to shield, sadly they can farm me down and I can align my Metagross again. But so far so good, I can shield up the potential bait here, it's going to be a bait, but we will see on the opponent's side a Snorlax where we can go into a Kyurem, go for some Glaciate damage, and it looks pretty winnable for us so far. Just no shielding my Kyurem, just going straight for the debuffing move and try to hope for the Metagross to sweep endgame. If you watched till this point, I would appreciate a like on the video. This always helps out spreading videos, also on like other videos. I always appreciate this. Leave a comment if you are playing the Master League or are you playing the new cup coming out. Would be interesting for me to see what I should mainly focus on for my content. But otherwise, this is going to be it for the video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Kyurem is a very fun to use, and yeah, we're going to be able to win this final game. And thanks for watching. See you next one. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.